Hello everyone, welcome to my little shares. I am in the process of making dinner and decided to share a video. I'm making ground turkey meatballs. We love meatballs around here. They're really easy to make, they're tasty, and you can use them so many different ways. Tonight we're just going to pair them with some yellow rice and a cucumber, tomato, onion salad. But it's really easy to remember because you're just taking one of each item. You're taking 1 pound of ground turkey. This is a 20-ounce package, but I'll take out 4 ounces and I'll put that to the side for a burger for my son for another day. So you're taking 1 pound of ground turkey. Butterball 8515 is my favorite to use. You are going to take, let's see here, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of ground pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 heaping teaspoon of parsley. These, I do level teaspoons. This one I make it a little bit bigger. You're taking 1 egg, and you're going to beat it, 1 piece of bread, toasted, and I always keep the butts of the bread. I'm not sure what you call it. Everybody, some people say ends, some people say butts, but I keep the ends or the butts of the bread, and I freeze those and then I use them for breadcrumbs. So I stopped buying breadcrumbs some time ago, and I basically just take a piece of bread, I toast it, and then I will pulverize it into breadcrumbs. That's the other side. So if by chance no one's heard of the butt of the bread, this is what it is. Okay, so all the spices I've already mixed together. You will take a piece of bread. After you turn this into crumbs, you're going to add it to this mixture and mix it up. So I'm going to do that and I will be right back. All right, so now I've got my breadcrumbs and we're going to add this mixture to the breadcrumbs and then mix that up. All right, so we're just going to mix this up until it's well combined. And pretty much you're just making seasoned breadcrumbs. All right, next move, we're going to get this ground turkey into a bowl. And we're going to take out 4 ounces and put that in a container here to use for later on this week. At some point, my son will want a hamburger and we'll just have it already portioned out in the fridge. And I forgot to add, before you start all of this, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Okay, so you've got your 1 pound of ground turkey. You're going to add your egg first and then mix this up very well. And you want to have your egg beaten already. You don't want to just throw an egg in here with the yolk and whites separate. All right. Okay, so that is well combined. Everything is mixed in well. We're going to add our breadcrumbs and the spices next. Oops. I'm going to shake those up a little bit. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add the breadcrumbs and the seasoning. And same thing, just going to mix everything in until it's well combined. So, oops, some noise. I'm going to mix this up and then I'll be right back. So this is mixed in well, and we're going to scoop this now onto a baking sheet, cookie sheet, whatever you want to call it, that is lined with parchment paper. So we're going to scoop it onto here. This mixture is going to get about 12 to 13 meatballs. Sometimes I get 14, but normally it's 12 to 13. So I'm going to scoop these. My phone battery is about to die, so I'm trying to position it where I can show you the scooping and keep it plugged in at the same time. So you have to bear with me. All right, so just going on with the scoop. I think this might be 2 tablespoons. I'm really not sure, but whatever size scoop you have or however big you want your meatballs, then you can portion it out as you please. But I use this scoop and it works really well. but this is what they're going to look like initially. So you're going to do all of your mixture, and then after that you're going to use your hands to form them. Okay, so today this made 12 meatballs. And remember, my phone needs charging, so it's plugged up right now. I can only stretch it so far, but this is what they look like. And now I'm going to form them so that they're more uniform. So I will pour some olive oil onto a small plate, saucer, whatever you want to call it. And then I will use that to dip my hand in while I'm forming these. So I don't have to keep picking the bottle up and pouring it into my hand. So I'm going to show you how I do that. All right, so just going to take this and just going to pour a little. That's all you need. Okay, so we have our meatballs, we have our olive oil, and we're going to take our hands. 1 second. Okay, we're going to take our hands and you're just going to dip them. Dip your hands in the oil, okay? And let me see if I can do this back here. Rub them together. You're going to take a meatball and then you're just going to shape it. It's a little bit easier to shape without gloves, but there you go. And you're going to do that with each one. As you need more oil, you're just going to dip your hand back in the oil and continue to rub them together, or roll them rather. All right, so in 1 second we're going to go ahead and get a little bit more oil on our hands. Okay, and then we're gonna, I'll grab them from here. It goes really quick, and in my opinion this is much quicker than grabbing it from the bowl and rolling each meatball. That's too much. It's just quicker in my opinion. So I'm just gonna do them one by one as you need it. Get more oil, roll them. Super simple. You're not pressing them together, you're just gently rolling them. All right, and then you get a little bit more oil. All right, and we got 2 more to do. All right. Now I did have a little bit left over, but I didn't have enough to make a 13th meatball. So what I'm going to do is look at the ones that are smallest, and then we'll just kind of add to those. So this is what I had left. I'll show you. Let me scoop it out. It wasn't much, but this is what was left. Not enough to make 1 complete meatball. So I will look at the ones that are smallest, in my opinion. We'll just add a little to that, and then we'll reshape them. But always do this at the end, so that way I can kind of see the size a little bit better. All right, now we're gonna just re-roll these. All right, so we're gonna get these in the oven, which has been preheating at 350. It's ready to go. And then after we do that, we're gonna start on our rice and get that going on the stove top. I thought about doing it in the Instant Pot, but I really prefer my rice on the stove top. I normally just do it on the Instant Pot if I'm just, you know, kind of rushing and don't feel like doing everything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these off. I'm gonna put this in the oven and we're gonna bake it. I always set the timer for 30, do I set it for 30 minutes? I think I set it for 30 minutes initially. But I do check on it before that. And I'll let you know how long these take today. Okay, so for the yellow rice, we are going to use jasmine rice. I rarely buy, if ever, long grain enriched rice. I prefer to buy jasmine rice. And we're using 1 cup of jasmine rice. We're going to rinse it really well. So we're going to rinse it, and again, it's just 1 cup. We don't measure the turmeric. I just sprinkle it on top. You'll see me do that in just a moment as far as how I throw everything together. But this is what makes it yellow. And you can't have yellow rice. Well, I can't have my yellow rice without this. We're using Better Than Bouillon. Is that the roasted chicken base? About 2 teaspoons and a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon or maybe half a tablespoon of olive oil, and I don't measure the salt either. I just kind of sprinkle that all over the top. So I'll show you how everything comes together. And I also boil 2 cups of hot water. Okay, well, not I boil 2 cups of hot water. I boil 2 cups of water, and you want that ready because you're gonna toast your rice a little bit first, and then you're gonna add the water. But the water needs to be hot. So I'll show you the method here in just a moment. I'm gonna rinse the rice off really well, and we'll get that started. All right, so we're just doing, what is that, 1 cup? 1 cup of jasmine rice. Okay, we're gonna put it in the strainer, okay? And then we're gonna rinse it out. So I'm gonna take this over there. I don't wanna get rice dust all over the table, so I'll be right back. Okay, so this is rinsed, and you're gonna just set it aside and let it, let it drain. I shake most of the water out, but you're gonna just set this aside for right now. And then we'll go over to the pan and we'll get started with the whole process for the rice. It's really, really simple, but it's not your normal boil the water and then throw the rice in there and let it cook. So I'll show you how I do it in just a moment. Be right back. Okay, so we're gonna get started on the rice. And please don't judge my pan. I know it's horrible. I'm gonna get some new ones sometime soon, but this is the one that works best when I cook rice. So I'll show you how to do it. So we're gonna drop in a tablespoon of butter. We already have the heat on. I have the eye on. We're gonna throw in about a tablespoon or half a tablespoon of olive oil. I don't know how much that was, but just throw some olive oil in. And next we're gonna throw in our Better Than Bouillon. All right, so we're gonna throw in our, excuse me if that's shaky. Let's see, okay. We're gonna throw in our Better Than Bouillon. That's supposed to be around 2 teaspoons. I don't know how much it is, but I'm gonna throw that in there. And then next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna kind of let this cook a little bit. But while everything is melting, you're gonna kind of mix it around. I'm gonna throw my rice in next. Now I've already heated up my water in my kettle, my electric kettle. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and press it again so that it stays nice and hot. And that way when it's time to throw that in here, it won't take long to, warm back up to boiling. Okay, so I'll be right back with the rice. All right, so we're gonna toss the rice in. Okay, once the rice is in, we're gonna go ahead and mix this up. You want all that butter, oil, Better Than Bouillon, you want it all over your rice grains. So we're gonna mix this up really well. And then basically what you're doing is you're gonna toast this. Oh, let me go get the salt and turmeric. All right, so we're still gonna mix this up a little bit. And the way you'll tell it's ready to add your water, it's gonna start to feel dry again, as if you've never rinsed it off. Like the grains will separate a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna add the turmeric, and just need about that much. And where's my salt? Hang on 1 second, we'll add the salt. And again, I don't measure this, I just sprinkle a little bit of salt. You don't need much because you've already got the bouillon seasoning, which is salty. All right, then we're gonna mix this up. And you want to get that turmeric and the salt mixed in as well, okay? So And this is what makes it yellow. I know that saffron is a thing, but it's also expensive. And turmeric is just, I like the flavor of it. It's not, you're not using a lot, so it's not going to be too overpowering. But you can tell it's in there. But it makes a pretty rice. So I especially like not using it. I especially like making this when I'm eating like black beans. If I make black beans, I prefer yellow rice. All right, so this is ready to go. Ready for us to add our water. I am going to get that boiling a little bit. I'm going to get that going so that it's fully going. You see how it's like separated now? Like before it was kind of sticking together because it was wet. This is when you know it's ready to go. When you can hear it when it's ready to add your water, rather, or when you're ready to add your water, because you'll hear it kind of separate. All right, now I'm going to show you what happens when you add the water. You have to be very careful and don't get scared and jump, because it's going to get really steamy. So you have to add it slowly, 1 cup at a time. We're adding 2 cups of water. Okay, I'm not sure if it got it before. My phone seemed like it was stuck, but at any rate, once you add the water, you're going to mix it together so that it's level. Make sure you don't have any rice grains on the sides. Once it comes to a boil, put your lid on. All right, once the lid is on, you're going to lower the heat to almost the lowest setting. It depends on your oven is your oven. So my lowest setting might be different from yours. You kind of have to figure out, if you've never done it this way before, which setting is best for your rice. So I've got mine set to where I know after 20 minutes it's going to be perfect. So I've turned the heat down, got the lid on, and we're going to set a timer for 20 minutes. Okay, so our meatballs are out of the oven. They took about 35 minutes. And as you can see, they have a little bit of runoff residue. We don't eat that. So we're going to take some paper towels and clean that off of each meatball. And then we're going to put the meatballs in a container and work on our cucumber salad. Okay, and this is how I clean the meatballs off. I basically just take 1 paper towel in my left hand, and then I take a paper towel in my right hand, and I hold it with the left, and I just kind of get all that off with the right hand. So, of course, that's going to vary based on whether or not you're right-handed or left-handed, but that's what I do to get this off. And I'll just use new paper towels if I need to. And once these are cleaned off, we'll set them aside. All right, see how much better that looks? So just showing you the before and the after. All right, last thing that we need to do to complete our dinner is make our cucumber, tomato, and onion salad, which is, again, very, very easy. Everything that I'm making today is so simple. The rice is the hardest thing, only because it takes a little bit of practice. The first time I did it like that, it took me a while to kind of get it right as far as the timing, the temperature on the stove, because that can vary. I used to be a person who always boiled my water first for the rice, and then I would add the rice, and it always came out good. But this method, in my opinion, is incredible. So this is the only way I make my rice on the stove top. So we've got half of an onion, we've got 1 Roma tomato, 1 lemon, and 1 English cucumber. The seasoning, did we call this seasoning? Pepper. We're going to season it with pepper, Himalayan pink sea salt. This isn't a regular sea salt container, but that's just because I moved this here. So this is pink Himalayan sea salt. Don't pay attention to the expiration date. This is just the container that I'm using. And then we're going to use olive oil. So that's it. And I'll show you how that comes together. Okay, I should add, is that clear? Hang on. I'm using a mandolin for this, a mandolin slicer. So I'm gonna cut off the ends. I'm gonna chop some of these things in half, and then we're gonna use this to make it go really, really quick and easy. Okay, so we're going to chop the ends off of the cucumber, each side. And then we're going to chop it in half. Cut into fourths. We've got our onion cut in half. Our tomato is cut in fourths, and then we've got our lemon halved. All right, so our timer just went off for the rice. We're going to take it off the heat and set it aside. And we are setting the timer for 10 minutes. And then once we do that, it'll be time to fluff it and we can eat. Oops. All right, so 10 minutes on the timer. Leave the lid on. Don't take the lid off, okay? Leave the lid on, 10 minutes, and then you can come back and fluff it. All right, so we've got our mandolin set on 2. We are going to take our cucumber first, and you're just gonna basically slice it. But see how thin that is? Okay, the onions were a little slippery when I put them in the mandolin, so I went ahead and, is it mandolin or mandoline? Is it mandolin? At any you're gonna hear me say at any rate a lot because that's just something that I say, so I apologize in advance if that annoys anyone. But the mandolin slicer was a little slippery with the onions, so I decided to just chop those on the board. All right, same with the tomatoes. They were a little slippery, so I went ahead and just chopped them on the board as well. Okay, we're gonna add the lemon juice. Now, when you add the lemon juice, if you want more, you can add more. I don't think I'll need more with this, but this is gonna be based on your taste. All right. I think I'll be satisfied with 1 lemon. All right, we've got that. We're gonna add a little bit of olive oil, just a little bit. That's enough. And you're gonna mix it before you add the salt and pepper. At least I do. Okay, so you're gonna mix this together and get everything coated before you add the salt and pepper. This is better once it's sat in the fridge overnight. Once it has sat in the fridge overnight. But today we're gonna eat it right away because I didn't feel like cooking any vegetables. So this is what we are dealing with. We're gonna add the pink Himalayan sea salt. And again, this is all to taste. I'm gonna add that. We're gonna add pepper, just black pepper. And if you wanna add other things, you can. This is your salad. But for me, I like to keep it simple. It's just salt and pepper, olive oil, lemon juice. And you're going to transfer this into a container and make sure you pour everything that's left in the bowl. Get that in the container as well. I'm going to taste this really quickly and see. Let me see. And no, I'm not eating it off with a spoon. I set it to the side. Let's see. Oh, that's good. How perfect. Make the salad. My goodness, that's good. All right. I think it's just time to eat. Super simple. Easy to make, healthy, and if you don't feel like cooking a vegetable like I did not today, then this is perfect because you're at least getting something in versus just eating, you know, rice and meatballs. All right, it is time to fluff our rice. I'm going to show you what it looks like when you take off the lid. Oops, do I have it? I think I have this magnified. Okay, here we go. This is what it looks like when you take the lid off. Okay. And now we're going to fluff it. Some people say fluff it with a fork. I always fluff it with this. The same thing I kind of mix it together with. Now look at that. You see how that rice is just, it's not mushy. This is in part because I've rinsed it. If you don't rinse it, that starch is going to stay on there, which, you know, if you like the starch and the more sticky rice, I'm not sure if it's, do we wash it to clean it? I don't know, but I wash my rice and it makes a difference. So we're just going to fluff it and we are ready to eat. Look at that. Perfect. Every time. Once you get the hang of this method and get your timing on and get your, you know, get to know your oven or your stovetop along with this yellow rice, you will be good to go. All right, so this is dinner. We've got our salad, we've got our meatballs, and we've got our rice. I always slice my meatballs up. You're a choking hazard, you know, so make sure you cut them, especially if you're giving them to little kids. Make sure you cut them even smaller than this because they are a choking hazard. But this is dinner. I'm ready to chow down. We got our yellow rice, meatballs, and salad. And this is such a quick meal. The only reason it took a minute today was because I was recording, but this comes together so quickly. It's very easy to make and it's a very fresh meal. So it's like not heavy, and the meatballs are one of our favorites. So thank you for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and I hope to see you in the next video.